Have you ever approached a short game shot, a chip or a pitch with intrepidation, just hoping that you can pull the shot off out on the golf course? Welcome back to my channel, Know by Design Golf. I'm Karen Davies, LPGA Professional. In this video, I'm gonna go over the clear steps and the key fundamentals for creating a more successful chip and pitch shot from inside of 40 yards from the hole. Do you keep chasing fool's gold in your short game, particularly in your pitch shots inside of 25 yards? Or are you more like Grace Kim, who hit an amazing pitch shot in the latter part of the event over at Evian on the LPGA Ladies European Tour and ended up winning a major championship? The essentials of this chip are going to include slowing down your ball speed and not creating too much compression. So a setup for compression would look like on a regular shot, meaning you're going to hit the golf ball more than 40 yards or even 50 yards. It would look more like this with the handle forward and the club de-lofted. And so when we go to hit a chip shot like that, what ends up happening is that we end up doing some of the other stuff that we don't want to do, like this, backing out of it, just reacting to the fact that we know that that sort of beginning is there for us to create compression. So we need to slow down the ball speed and be able to manage how the club travels back and forth on the swing arc from our setup. So from our setup, what we're going to do is we're going to use a sand wedge or a lob wedge, and we're going to hold it in the grip very lightly, and preferably a lower hand, which is closest to the club face, is going to stay on the side of the grip. We're going to put the back of the ball in the middle. We're going to go pretty small with the stance, no more than a couple of club heads between the heels. And we've got the handle very slightly forward of my belt buckle. We're not in this setup, okay? And then basically we're going to keep our upper arms connected to our rib cage, and we're going to turn the seams on our golf shirt a little bit back, but we're definitely going to turn through. And the idea is that we're going to make pitch shots where we're kind of getting the club moving back with our right forearm bending and keeping the club head out in front of us. So we're bending, rotating, bending the forearm, rotating the seam on our shirt, and keeping the hands out in front of us with the toe matching our spine angle or even a little bit more up to the sky for a higher shot. By just starting off with the face, just turn to the right a little bit, that'll open it, we'll grip it, and be able to hit a higher, slower ball speed pitch shot that'll have the ability to stay on the green. Okay, so we're gonna get our setup, ball in the middle. We're gonna stack our sternum on top of our hips, and then basically as we move back and through, we're turning a little bit as we fold our right arm. We've got a light grip, and then we're landing the club in the ball's vicinity, rotating and releasing our right heel. So we've got kind of soft arms and hands. We feel where the bottom of the club is, and then we're keeping our arms with our ribs, rotating back, adding pressure a little bit left, landing the club, and finishing with the club out in front of us fairly close to us, so our arms are soft. So we're going to slow down the ball speed from this setup and hit a high, soft pitch shot. In order to bring down the ball speed, we need to make it more of a right forearm and hand and a pivot movement. So if I were to stand and put a little bit more pressure on my lead side, on this side, I'm going to let my elbow bend, the forearm kind of rotates a little bit, and my thumb stay kind of on top of the grip. So I'm doing that, and then I'm just basically attempting to land the club in the right area. So this would be one drill to start to get decent at, where you could hit the ball 10 yards and then it might roll out a couple of yards. So basically it's a pivot and a torso rotation with soft hands and the soft right arm. The other way that you could work on this would be to see if you could do it where you can learn to get the club head back down in front of you. So basically you're attempting to get the club head back down in front of you and keep the club in front of you. So this idea of when I go back, I'm winding, and then it reconnects and it stays under me and in front of me. You kind of see that? So that would be another way to start to look at it. So I'm stacked, I'm pretty level, my weight's a little left, my hands are soft, keeping my upper arms connected to my ribs, and I'm just landing the ball under the ball or in the ball's vicinity. Now we're down the target line view, and what I'm doing is my arms are connected to my sides. I'm maybe opening the club face a little bit, so I'm just turning the club face a little bit and gripping it there, so I can use the bounce. And then basically, as I'm turning, my left shoulder goes down as I'm turning, and I've got the club pretty much out in front of me. And then I'm letting it come back down, turning my ribs, and I'm facing the target. So you shouldn't be able to see my club head right now. This is where we would choose a chip shot. And a chip shot is where the ball has a flying start, but the majority of the ball's journey is along the ground. And to be able to create that, what we want to do is maybe use a pitching wedge or a 9-iron to start. And what we want to do in our setup, to set up in a way that makes it very sweet for us to be able to deliver lower club head speeds and control the carry to roll ratio, that we kind of bring our elbows in close to us and connect our upper arms to our rib cage. So it's kind of like we're doing the T-Rex setup with our arms. We're lowering our hands on the club, and we're actually pointing our thumbs down. So by pointing our thumbs down, we've made the golf shaft a little bit more upright, slightly more upright. We're close to it. And our stance is very narrow. So there's one club head, and the ball is in the middle, and I'm putting slightly more weight, a little bit more weight, 5 to 10% on this lead leg, and my middle of my zipper on my shirt or my buttons are stacked on top of my belt buckle or a little bit forward in setup. So here's from a face-on view, the movement, thumbs down, stack my ribs, get myself aimed. You see how I'm coming up? So I'm getting myself to turn, but also elevate a little bit so I can nip it and clip it through the bottom of the swing. If I don't do that, I'm going to get stuck in the ground. So that's a chip shot. So the difference between a chip and the pitch is the pitch spends more time in the air, less time on the ground, and the chip has more roll time than it does air time. So it matters what loft you use and whether you set up with more thumbs down to get the club to be a bit more upright. And then in chipping, basically the club head never goes higher than your waist. So the club head staying below your waist. Whereas in pitching, the club head will be elevated higher than your waist, both on both sides. And there's a pivot that's the engine of the swing, and the hands and forearms are soft, so the finish is going to be more up with the club face and softer arms over here. So let's lean into less uncertainty and hoping as you approach your shot near the green, and move into knowing, trusting, and creating the shots that you want more often. It's going to help you lower your scores. Imagine hearing the nip and the clip of better contact off the club face of your iron that you're chipping with, and seeing the ball float up in the air and stop pretty quickly on the green, or seeing the ball roll towards where you intended it to go, the golf hole, and have a much shorter putt after. So you can see here that this is lower than the leading edge. This is what we want to use in our chip and pitch shots, and not use the leading edge. So you can see here that the angle of the shaft doesn't have a lot of forward shaft lean. A chip shot and a pitch shot is in a different family. They're in a different house. They're not in the iron house. So you need to learn to adapt your setup, as I have explained in this video, and develop a delivery with this implement that utilizes the sole of the club more, and you will get away with more by doing that when you hit your short game shots. So here's the ladder set up, and your goal is to call the zone you're going to bounce the ball in. So you're calling the shot, deciding on your intermediate target, and then responding by the force or the size of the backswing and the club delivery, so the arc length, to get the ball to land where you want and roll towards your target while holding the target while you're playing the shot. When you create the shot, so that you know what you're going to cue on when you play. So I'm going to throw it past the 5th rod out there, a little soft pitch. So here's a way to practice these shots, and you want to get where you feel very comfortable with the steps, the setup, and the way you're moving the club, keeping the arms connected, and the tempo. Maybe do 10 shots where you're looking to get that more synced, and then use the ladder and see if you can make a decision as to where you want to land it. So I'm going to say into the past the 1st rod, so the between 1 and 2. And hit some shots, so 10 shots, and see if you could get above 50% hitting your landing zones, but within 3 foot to a yard of where you want the ball to land, and then watch what it does when it rolls out. If you like this video, please make a comment below, and please hit the subscribe button down below.
I appreciate it. Thanks for watching.